Hello, everybody. I am so excited about today's presenter. First time guest on the ChiroHealthUSA webinar series, and I couldn't be more excited to have Dr. Rosemary Batanjski here to talk to us about the 4 pillars of practice. Let me just tell you that she is the absolute most amazing, phenomenal, incredible human being. And her level of when you hang out with Rosemary, you get this sense of energy that just kind of rubs off on you like fairy dust is the best way I can describe it, like Tinkerbell sprinkling it. But she really does have this outstanding, unbelievable personality that is incredibly infectious, and she knows her stuff. Seriously knows her stuff. One of the things that I love about her, despite the fact that she's super fun and amazing and has the biggest heart for chiropractic and helping chiropractors around the country, is that she has got a mind for business. And that is one of my favorite things to talk about. You can talk to her about books. You can talk to her about anything. She's got the most amazing recommendations, and she can tell you what she did to make her practice self-sufficient, that they don't even need her. They don't. It doesn't need her. They have her, but they don't need her. And that is an incredibly powerful thing. And I hear docs talk about this all the time around the country, that they want their practice to work like that. They hadn't quite figured it out, but Rosemary, she did. On top of that, she's one of the founding members of Women in Chiropractic and a board member and president. And the work that they are doing is absolutely incredible for women chiropractors all across the country. They have so many amazing stories, and I could talk about that for an entire hour, but I'm not going to, because Rosemary has lots of stuff to share with us today. But ladies, if you are listening to this and you're a doctor of chiropractic, you really need to check out womenchiropractors.org to see the amazing things that they're doing. Join their Facebook page, the endless amount of resources that they provide to you so that you can be successful in practice will blow your mind. And all you have to do is have a heart for chiropractic and the willingness to learn. That's it. That's all they want. So, Rosemary, welcome to the webinar series. Rose, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I heard you too. You're my pixie dust. You make me so excited every time I talk to you. And your smile is so contagious. So we are blessed to have you in chiropractic, and you're an inspiration to us all, especially women, because I don't know how you do it all. I am happy to be here. God, I love business. It's so much fun. So I am going to go ahead and start and get right to business with my presentation today. Okay, hold on. Sorry.
That was correct.
Then
you just got to go pick the
okay, here we go. Yep. So today we're going to be talking about the 4 pillars of practice. Creating a practice operating system that works. My name is Dr. Rosemary Batanjski. I am from Michigan, where today it could be 60 degrees. And guess what, folks? Tomorrow we'll have snow. And I'm not lying about it. So I am located in Michigan. Warren, Michigan is where my practice is. I live in Macomb, Michigan, a little bit northeast of my practice location. My email, I do get a lot of questions after this topic. So feel free to contact me at info@mindyourbusinesspos.com. And Christy will also share my Calendly link that I offer everybody who takes my webinars a free 90-minute consult or advice session just to talk out issues and or resolve some issues that you have learned through taking my course. So let's get started. So a little bit about me. I own and operate Complete Care Chiropractic Clinic for 19 years. It's been a 7-figure clinic for the last 8 years. I retired from clinical practice in 2015 due to a life-threatening condition. At 35, I had open heart surgery. I found out I had a rare connective tissue disorder called Loeys-Dietz syndrome. It took my father's life and his mother's life in their older 40s. Found out I too had it, and unfortunately, I kept practicing and pushing my limits. And I finally was told that if I want to see my children grow up, I'm going to have to stop clinical practice because it was too physical on my body. So from that, during that time, I was doing some practice advising, consulting. I was teaching for the MAC locally here and some other in Ohio, Chiropractic Association. I co-founded Mind Your Business, a practice operating system. In the last couple of years, I just figured out what works. I am the proud president, like Christy said, of Women Chiropractors since 2017. I'm a trusted board member nationally to several other organizations. I'm the proud mom of 2 and married for 23 years. And usually my dog Jinx is here and you'd hear him snoring right now, but I sent him out and he says hi. So my areas of expertise are business management and practice growth, risk management. I do a lot of documentation and audit survival, revenue cycle management. I specialize obviously in women in chiropractic, managing and building a dream team. I do a lot of exit strategy work with folks. I do leadership training, personal and professional growth strategies, and I actually love teaching processes, procedures, and policies. People think I'm weird. And I do a lot of motivational speaking outside of chiropractic. So people often ask me, how do I have a 7-figure practice and you're never there? And you can ask my team. I just showed up yesterday and I spent about 3 hours there, and it was the first time I showed up probably in a month. But it doesn't mean that I'm not connected. It doesn't mean that I'm not working on the practice, but I've just created a system that works for me. So now while I teach business, I consult, I have a practice that I generate a paycheck from, and I love my people. I love my practice. I love my staff. And we're still connected on a daily basis. I created this practice operating system that works. I've improved my communication, leadership, and management strategies and created a trusted team. I have 18 current employees, 7 of which have been with me longer than 5 years, 4 have been longer than 10, and 2 have been with me for 15 and 16 years respectively. I am really proud of the team I've made. I can't do it without them. I've identified every risk. I've assessed my team and my 3 Ps. I've evaluated the practice with tools, and I control and monitor everything with this system. But I've made a lot of mistakes in practice. Trust me. I'm here today to teach you how to mind your business in 2021. I've seen too many doctors held hostage to their practice or caught with their pants down recently with COVID. The year I retired from clinical practice 6 years ago at the age of 40, I increased my practice revenue that year by 34% by focusing on the business. So let's do this together. I'm here to teach you how to take your business and focus on the 4 pillars to create a system that truly works. This is one of the tools I teach in exit strategies for docs as well. So what does it mean to scale your business? People ask me all the time. The answer is, scaling a business means setting the stage to enable and support the growth of your company. It means having the ability to grow your practice without stress. It should be fun, and people laugh at me all the time, but I love it. It requires strategizing, minding your money, leading your team, communicating with clarity, certainty, and confidence, and continuously working on your 3 Ps and executing your plan. So there's a big difference. Many of us always plan. We have strategic planning meetings. We go to strategic planning meetings for our business, for our church, for our boards. But there's a difference between planning and executing. And I find that we often talk about doing what we're going to do, but we don't execute. So scaling your practice means strategizing and planning. C for cash flow. So I say cash flow is the life source of your practice. You have to spend money to make money, but you also have to know your money. And too often I find practices that I work with don't even know what their overhead is. Alliance, A stands for alliance, alliance of team, your dream team. They carry your practice to the next level, and without them, you can't do it. L is for leadership. I have invested probably the last 3 to 4 years with leadership training. It really makes a difference. And then E is for execute it. You take it all and you take the plan and you execute the plan. You hold your team accountable, and you will see not only your practice become more efficient, but you're going to see your profits increase. So it doesn't matter what your yesterday was. Today is what matters. So there's 2 ways to scale your business. Number 1, with your team. So build your dream team. I call my team my A team. You are the leader, you are the visionary, and you are the driver of your practice. So it's up to you to surround yourself with the best talent who can transform your vision into reality. Is your team, ask yourself right now, is your team in it to win it? Are you building together? Are you innovating together? And are you growing together? Or do you feel like you're doing this alone? Do you lie in bed awake at night overwhelmed? It's all on you. Too often I hear practice owners saying, like, I have an office manager, I have a biller, but I'm constantly, they tell me I'm micromanaging them, and they tell me that there's a communication breakdown. And I'm here to teach you how to create 4 pillars of your practice and hold your team accountable, and you will see tremendous results. The second way is with revenue. So revenue cycle, making sure you're minding your money and understanding your money, understanding all aspects of the revenue cycle. And I do have a course on revenue cycle management that I'll be launching soon, and I'm happy to share with ChiroHealthUSA for insurance practices. But also cash flow. Think cash flow is the life force of your practice. It ensures that you are breathing and pumping in the blood into the core systems of your practice so they will thrive and grow. So too often we go to our seminars, we go to our conferences, we do it, and we're not investing in our team. Often we will have coaches. People will hire coaches or advisors, consultants, whatever you're going to call them. And it's focused on marketing and getting more patients and systems and whatever. But you're investing in yourself, but too often the changes made are happening at the doctor level and your staff's not on board, or they haven't bought in yet. So everything I teach, I recommend that your office managers actually watch this webinar at their pace, at their leisure, because I believe in growing your practice equally with your office manager and your team, not alone. So my 4 pillars of practice. I have concentrated my practice growth and my focus onto 4 pillars of practice. They are revenue, income, operations, and traffic. In each pillar, we will cover who is responsible, what are these categories to focus on, what are the categories in each pillar, to focus on, how will we do it, the strategy, and how will we track the performance in each. So before we go into this, I want to talk about KPI management and what a KPI is. You can't lead your team to excellence if you don't have performance indicators to track performance, to track initiatives, campaigns, anything return on investment. So what is a KPI? A key performance indicator is a measurable value that demonstrates how effectively a company is achieving key business objectives. So I want everybody to know that everyone that works for you has a number. Organizations use KPIs at multiple levels to evaluate their success at reaching targets. These KPIs are discussed at every meeting to determine if your team is performing at its best. There are 2 categories of KPIs for our chiropractic practices. High-level KPIs, which focus on overall performance of the business. These are the money, your dollars, your cents, and low-level KPIs, which may focus on processes in your departments, such as social media, such as reactivations, what have you. So the type of KPIs I've categorized are The ones that surround patient acquisition, number one. So a patient acquisition KPI would be when you talk about how many new patients you've had, when you talk about how many patient visits you've had for the week or the month or the quarter, how many reactivations, referrals, and maybe your social media engagement. Did someone become a patient because of a post? So how did you get patients? Then the second type of KPI comes down to patient care. What are you doing around the patient? So number of cancellations, retention, rescheduling. I have an odd one, and people laugh when I say this, but I have a KPI that if the phone rings more than 3 times, I lose my mind, because there's 6 people that are working in the office right now. Nobody can pick up the phone. That means our patient hasn't been cared for. That's just me. So patient visit average, customer relationship management. So are you using Zingit or ReviewWave to nurture your patient care? Conversion ratio and testimonials. A third type of KPI is financial. Obviously, we talked about it, and that's our high-level KPIs. That's your revenue, expenses, overhead, your cost per patient, your income per patient, your profit per patient. We calculate those monthly, and I will show you the overhead calculation that I actually years ago received from ChiroHealthUSA, and I swear to God, it's bookmarked on my phone and on my computer, and if I need to know a number like this, I grab ChiroHealthUSA's overhead calculator because it's for ease of use. Collections, front desk collections, insurance collections. What's your collection ratio, your claim statusing, your accounts receivable, and your case visit average? So I have grouped the types of KPI based on this. And we'll talk more about it. So what is a SMART KPI? A SMART KPI is your objective specific. Is it measurable? Can you measure progress towards that goal? So if you're a new doc and you're going to set KPIs, or if you're a doc and you're hiring a new associate and you average 11 new patients a week, you do, but you've been in practice 20 years, you're not going to set a KPI for new patient visits for an associate of 11. It's not specific, and it's not measurable and attainable for that particular person. So maybe we set 3 new patients for that week for that new associate. So is the goal realistically attainable? How relevant is the goal to your organization? And what is the time frame for achieving this goal? So this is the accountability portion. How are you holding your staff accountable? And most of the best way to do it is meetings. And too often when I work with offices, they hadn't had a meeting in a year, 6 months. You have to meet with your team, especially your A team, regularly to find out these numbers and to hold everybody accountable. So our first superhero, our first pillar, if you go back to the picture of the house with 4 pillars, is revenue. So I want you to think about each pillar, and I want you to think about the people who serve each pillar, and we're going to call them our superheroes in each pillar. So our first superhero is revenue. This is called production. The first superhero or pillar of practice is revenue. Ask yourself, so what are your revenue streams? Who is delivering your products or services? What is your uniqueness? Who is the superhero in this pillar? So these are your providers. So it doesn't matter if you're just a chiropractic practice, if you're chiropractic with massage, if you're chiropractic with nutrition, massage, rehab, you're a wellness clinic. Your providers are your superheroes in this category. They're the ones that are producing the services to generate income. So categories of revenue, as I said, are number 1, we're chiropractors, chiropractic care. Number 2, massage therapy. And this is in no particular order. This is just I threw together the categories of revenue I see at each practice. Nutrition, products, pillows, orthotics, what have you. Acupuncture, laser, rehab, and rental income. This is how you manage as well as the rental income if you have independent contractors. So strategies on how to produce more revenue. So every month we meet with our A team and we come up with strategies for the next month for this particular pillar. So this is predominantly focused on my practitioners. We do this monthly, quarterly, and yearly. And so monthly, we've a 30-day strategy. When we meet quarterly, we do a 90-day strategy on how are we going to produce more revenue. Ask for referrals. So I'm using examples from my last meeting. Ask for referrals. Are you tracking where they came from? Google, Facebook, internal referral, and are you discussing this with your team? So in your software, most softwares have where referrals came from. Are you reviewing them? Are you predominantly community-based, like you just get them off of Google or from social media, or do you have a really good referral source? Maybe it's my pediatricians next door. I have 9 pediatricians in one practice. They're a huge referral source to us. Ensure proper scheduling. Do not let people walk out the door without an appointment or cancel without rescheduling. So we have a little code here that we can track. It's a KPI. Rescheduling, RES positive, is that they actually rescheduled. So we know that they're in the schedule, but they actually rescheduled from another time. RES negative is that they walked out the door without an appointment, unfortunately. So the more RES negatives that you have in a month, you can realize that maybe your new hire at the front desk is not trained properly on getting the patient scheduled. Training front desk on the importance of chiropractic. So again, one of our a strategy to make more money is your whole team preaching chiropractic, why their son, daughter, husband should be coming in. And a simple, like going back to number 1, ask. So John, when am I going to get to meet your wife and kids? You talk so highly about them. So training your front desk on this is so important, and on the chiropractic 101. Reactivations. So we have someone that is responsible. It's their KPI for the reactivations through the month. We predominantly use Review Wave. We think they're fabulous. They're pricey, but they're fabulous. And it pays itself in just the campaigns that we have created for reactivations. So just like above where we had RES positive or negative, we have reactivations. So my girls will print a list of A through D patients that haven't been in a while. And if they reactivated them, it's REA plus. And if they did not reactivate, they left a message or they just didn't get a hold of someone, it's REA negative. Marketing. What internal and external strategies are you doing to market? Are you using whiteboards, Facebook, workshops? Sorry, there's a spelling error there. So this is just conversations on how to make more, produce more. And then the last one people fail to do is, what are you doing per hour? More services per hour per patient. So I'll use the example. If you have 11 new patients a week, which we average in our office, and 4 of them are acute pain. They just come in. We do a lot of rehab in our office. We get a lot of referrals from other practitioners, and this person's coming in with sciatica or raging pain. Is your staff trained to have an automatically, maybe an ice pack or a hot pack, if depending, like a rice pack or BioFreeze waiting for them? That Dr. Rose recommends that all new patients take this home as one of the remedies for, acute pain relief. And so if the office visit was just, say, X dollars, now X plus Y dollars, because your staff is trained to make more revenue per hour. It's just a suggestion. I'll use the example of Walgreens. How many times have you gone through Walgreens just to buy one thing? Maybe you're buying a gift card for someone. What does the Walgreens customer service gal, the cashier, say to you? Would you like to buy two Reese's Pieces for $1? They're on sale just today. So they are trained in their huddles earlier. What is the product to sell to bring more revenue in per hour that day? Is your staff also trained that? Did you know that Dr. Heidi does laser? So, promoting the products and services within your practice. So it all comes down to training and communicating with your team, how to not just buy the service, just the chiropractic adjusted alone. What can you do and what can you strategize to make more revenue per hour or per shift? So how do we track revenue, AKA the production? So what are the KPIs that I use in this pillar? New patients, the number of new patients, patient acquisition, how did they come to you? Was it a reactivation? Was it a referral? Did it come through some kind of marketing? Patient visits. How many chiropractic visits did you have? How many massage visits did you have? We have a scorecard which tracks everything. So it's communicated. We know what every department is doing. We know, are we having a slow month, good month? We know how to forecast the next month with staffing. Gross collections per provider, per category. So we also track the collections per doctor, per chiropractor associate, total chiropractic gross collections for the month and the quarter and the year, but then also per category. How well are we doing in supplement sales, in orthotic sales, in products such as like foam rollers or ice packs? And then massage. What's the gross collections? I can tell you offhand, 26% of my gross income was massage therapy. I have 8 massage therapists. So I look at that monthly and per category, so we know how well we are doing per department. PVA is also one. Many of us know the patient visit average. How long is our patient staying with us? So the second superhero or column or pillar is income. So you've produced the service. We've adjusted the patient. We've billed for it. If you don't bill for it, you've collected now the income. So now what do we do with the income? Who's your superpower that is responsible for managing income? So in this superpower, we're going to name this superhero income. Mine is Debbie in my practice. Debbie is in charge of all income coming in. You've produced the service, so now what? Who manages your income or superhero? Who is your superhero in this pillar? Who is managing your accounts receivable, your insurance, your front desk collections, the statements? Who is making sure that all revenue you generate is coming in? Some of you are great at getting patients, but terrible at conversion and retention. Some of you are great at patient retention, but terrible with marketing. Some of you are great at doctoring, but terrible at bookkeeping. This is why I recommend having a superhero in each pillar. My superhero, I love talking money. I love making sure my collections are above 90% per month. I love strategizing with money. But if you asked my office manager if I'm good at operations, absolutely not. They want me to scheduling staff, creating log sheets, whatever, manuals. That's not my thing. I am not a superhero in that. I let Lori be the superhero in that. So that leads, so I want to go over the categories of income. So you've produced the service. Now the income comes in. What types of categories? Insurance collections, front desk collections, so your co-pays, your supplements, your products, your statements, what was collected. Rental income, so rental income comes in too. And if you have splits, like if some people have fixed rent where your independent contractors just pay a rent, and some based are based on production and collection. So this is a category of income and how you track it. So strategies on how to make more money or income. So front desk collections, we have a hit list. So every morning, Debbie, who is my superhero for income, she's also my biller and front desk manager. She manages the front desk girls and she handles all the billing. Debbie hands them a list that's generated. Actually, we use another software that syncs with ChiroTouch called Blue IQ. And Blue IQ is a KPI management software. It's fabulous to help practices. Anyways, Blue IQ will give us a list of all the incoming patients today and how much they owe. And right next to it, it says how much they owe and how much their family owes if there's subsequent people in the family. For example, Joe Smith's coming in, but his wife and kids also have a balance from deductible. So when Joe actually comes in on his own, my front desk knows to say, hey, Joe, I see that statements haven't gone out yet, but I see that the total family, Smith family, owes $232. How did you want to take care of it? So we actually have a daily hit list. And the other day, we collected over $3,000 just from the hit list, which minimized the statements going out in the next week. The other thing you have to remember is there's something called GWC. Get it, want it, and the capability to do it. So remember, your front desk, just as important as greeting for customer service, as the kindness, scheduling, whatever, they're also collecting money. And if they get their job, want it, but the capability, if they're afraid of asking for money, they're not the right person in the right seat. Because if you've ever noticed that you hire if you average $1,000 a day in collections and front desk collections, and then all of a sudden, if you're following your trends and you're following these KPIs, you realize that you've only collected $2,000 this week, but you always collect $5,000. What's going on? Most likely your front desk person either hasn't been trained properly or they don't have GWC. They don't have the capability to ask for that money. Maybe they're better off being a CA, just rooming patients, helping you with the patients and with therapies, what have you. So remember, front desk is just as important on the front end as the back end in making money. Statements. So this leads to reducing the number of statements per month. How? So what we do is we print our statements for the month, and let's just say they're 200. We have 200 statements to go out. That's a lot, but we do have a big practice. A couple months ago, our statements were $38,000 going out because of deductible, January, February. I forget what month it was. And so we actually go through the list of 200 statements and we pick the ones that are current, who's going to be coming in within the next 2 weeks, and we attach it to their travel card. And so our front desk knows to ask for, instead of mailing it out, we know that Joe Smith comes every other Wednesday. So when Joe comes in, we're going to ask him for his deductible. We save time, we save money on the statement. We don't have to wait 30 days and we collect it. And believe it or not, the month that we had 38,000, I think by doing this strategy, we collected over $12,000 in statements before we even sent them out. So that is a KPI that we have assigned for one of our front desk gals. My biller, who's the superhero in this pillar, creates the work and then she hands it off to the front desk. And we have two full-time front desk employees and one part-time. They all know when the statements are there, it's their job to collect. And it's a goal that we're going to send less statements out. Statusing claims. So we call them statusing. There's other people who call scrubbing. It's basically your housekeeping. A lot of times our EHR automatically, if you have the system where your EHR automatically dumps your insurance claims, and forgive me, I don't know the exact terminology, I'm not the biller, but they dump the EOB onto your system. And a lot of clinics that I work with are accepting that as status quo. So if you're not scrubbing the claim or checking it or doing the housekeeping, what falls through the cracks, I can tell you on average, when I do audits or financial audits on practices to find more money, because doctors will say, I'm working so hard, Dr. Rose, but I don't know where my money is going, or I don't know where it is. There's money that's falling through the cracks because you're just accepting what the insurance company is saying. So are you calling every Thursday morning? Debbie, my superhero, calls, she designates 9 to 11 o'clock in the morning to status old claims. And I can tell you on my weekly Blue Cross Blue Shield check, there could be up to 10% of the money coming in income that was related to old claims because she took the time to call and find where that money's at. So it's really important to status claims. Billing in a timely manner. So some people, you might have an in-house biller. I have an in-house. You might have an external company that you work with. But make sure that you're communicating with your biller. Are you sending reports? Are they sending reports? Are they telling you that this is how much statements went out, this is how much we collected? Like, are you creating KPIs for your biller? That's the question. And if you're struggling with this, please reach out to me, because this is my favorite topic, is I can find you money. I know how to find money and where to find money. But billing in a timely manner. Marketing. So obviously, how to make more money is we do marketing like we did in revenue. This was the last one, more services. So this got copied over, I apologize. But another way of making more, like watching the income coming in is also, before I go into tracking the income, is working with ChiroHealthUSA. Too often, I think from a compliance standpoint, ChiroHealthUSA is one of your A-team members that you should be aligned with, because by offering CHUSA and selling the $49 membership, it allows you to make more money. It allows you to charge what you want, where you like. It's basically creating compliancy, and at the time of service discount that you could charge for what you're worth. How do you track income? What are the KPIs? So we talked a little bit about the billing KPIs. It's definitely gross collections. So we every month report front desk insurance statements, so I know where the money's coming from. So we do on average $100,000 a month. So I could see that, 43% came from front desk, 42% came from insurance, and 16% came from, I don't know if I did my math right, statements. But I am minding my money, minding my business. I know the trends in my practice. So the drill down too, we call it drill down. How much of that collections was cash, credit, or check? So again, if you have high credit card front desk collections, how often are you checking, or when is the last time you've actually checked your credit card fees and compared them against other companies? Because you could be being had with credit card fees, and that's your money. The other thing is the drill down is what I just said, the categories of income. How much of your income is coming from chiropractic? How much of your income is coming from orthotics, massage, what have you? So obviously the MVP in our practice is chiropractic care, right? Well, in most offices it should be. But also, what are the categories of income that actually, or revenue that you're generating, are important? Because if you notice that you might not be making a lot on laser or a lot on acupuncture, and they're taking up prime real estate in your practice, maybe they're renting, is it time to maybe say bye-bye and create another room where you can create more, like another chiropractic room? So be very cautious how you're making, where your money's coming from. Collections ratio. So when I was taught, my sister-in-law has been a biller for 36 years for medical practices. And when she taught me the basic 101s, she always said you should have an 85% collections ratio or more. So me, the overachiever, I said, I'm going to have 90%. So your collections ratio is what you produce and what you collect. So you take what you produce and you divide it by what you collect, and you should have over an 85% collections ratio that month. We average about 92%. And that just tells me my superhero, Debbie, is doing her job. Number of statements. So how many went out and what was collected that month. So we could see that what our strategies are working. Profit per patient. If you're, and we'll get to that in the next pillar, but are you tracking profit per patient? Are you making enough? I just realized that I had an office, we were killing it. I was working with an office. We increased their collections by 50%, their gross revenue and collections in 6 months. But then their profit per patient the last month was like $3.03. And I knew something was wrong. I thought there's no way. And we figured out that he had to buy a big piece of equipment for his x-ray machine. So his expenses went up, altering the profit per patient. But when's the last time you checked your profit per patient? You could be working, and this is where people are hiring because I need another CA, or they don't know when to hire. I get asked all the time, so do you think it's time for me to hire another front desk or another CA? Well, let's look at your overhead. So understand your profit per patient. It's very critical. Your case visit average, some people call it a case visit average. In dental, like I worked with a mentor, they called it total patient revenue per year. So what is your case average? Like what is that one patient? So I have this, I use this idea. It's a popsicle stick. And when I calculate my case visit average or my total patient revenue for that year, let's just say it's 2,671. I teach my staff that every patient that walks in this door or calls, this is like the sticker price. This is how much they bring in for that year. So if you screw up on scheduling them, or if you're rude at the front desk, or you can't get them in on time, you might as well have just said bye to $2,671 if that's what your case visit average is. Do you know your numbers? Our third superhero is operations. Our third pillar in the house is operations, and we have someone that is in charge of operations, or I hope you do. You can't, docs, you can't do this alone. The third superhero or pillar of practice is operations. This is probably the hardest, toughest pillar to manage. This is the superhero that takes care of everything that needs to be done in practice. So ask yourself, who's managing this? Who is your superhero that keeps it all together? Who handles your bookkeeping, your accounts payable, your bill paying, your HR, your payroll, your inventory, your scheduling of your meetings, you're handling your staff when they call in sick? Who do you rely on the most besides yourself? This is your integrator. So as business owners, we're the visionary. We have big plans. We're entrepreneurial mindsets. But who's the person putting it all together for you? So categories of operations, these are the categories that I have in my practice. HR, so this is your hiring, firing, performance reviews, policies. So who's doing this for you? Payroll, inventory, staff scheduling, accounts payable. So who's paying your bills? Are you paying the bills? Do you have a bookkeeper doing it? But again, who's managing the overall? So most of the clinics I work with, we end up developing a role. You could call it office manager. You can call it director of operations. Mine is called the COO. She is my COO. She's been with me for 16 years. She's chief operations officer. She makes the decisions. She takes care of the practice for me. Meetings. Who schedules the meetings and who hosts them? I usually do quarterly meetings with my team and the yearly ones, but the weekly ones, the training is all done by my director of operations. That includes training. So how do we improve operations? How do we have the conversations with our team? So making sure your 3 Ps are down, your processes, policies, and procedures. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this. People get confused. They're like, I have procedures. I have tons of procedures. We're good. We're a well-greased machine. The procedures are the what is being done. But what about the how and the why? The what and the why. The procedures are how it gets done, the day-by-day procedure, like a checklist. The process is, I'll use the example as new patient process. So you have a new patient protocol or new patient processes. Some of my offices call it protocols, some of them call it processes. It's the new patient process. That process has policies around it. So what are the rules, the whys we do this process? For example, on a new patient process, what are rules or policies around scheduling a new patient? One, it could be that you need 45 minutes, so that's a rule. Do not schedule other patients, existing patients around that time. We do a $50 credit card, a $50 secure your visit. A cancellation policy. They'll be charged and billed $50 if a no-show. That's a policy. Like a policy around X-ray. The X-ray protocol would be take their bra off, check if they're pregnant, and take off any jewelry. Those are the rules behind the protocols. Then you have the how, the step-by-step procedures. So when's the last time you really refined your processes, policies, and procedures to create a well-greased machine? Continued training is imperative. Regular meetings, accountability breeds responsibility. Communication. So we have huddles every morning or every shift. So we have our practices open 8 to 8. Now, nobody works 12 hours. Most of our people work 6-hour shifts. Some work a 9-hour shift depending on their role, but our doctors work 8 to 2 or 2 to 6. Monday through Friday, and then Saturday mornings 8 to 2. And every huddle, every shift we do a huddle, and we do CEC. CEC stands for Communicate, Educate, and Celebrate. We communicate what's going on, forecast. We have 3 new patients today. We have 2 re-examinations or re-evals, which means that we might have to do a total of 5 x-rays. So put your running shoes on to the CAs. So we do some communicating and huddling. We do some education. We're always training. So if something changed in your EHR, if someone has been exposed to COVID in your team and you have to now talk to the staff, you're going to educate them and communicate with them what's going on. Or you could just talk about chiropractic 101 here. What is a subluxation? Why do children need chiropractic? And then the last one is celebrate. Celebrate wins with your team. Last week, we saw 323 patients. I brought donuts in yesterday when I did decide to visit. I created a big brouhaha that we had a great week considering we were short-staffed, whatever. So celebrate your wins. Or if Mr. Nowak's coming in and it's his 90th birthday, everybody should know that Mr. Nowak has been our patient for 10 years. He's turning 90 on tomorrow. And I want each and every one of you to peek out of wherever you're working and say happy birthday to Mr. Nowak. So communications are huge. I have an actual free webinar on my Mind Your Business page. It's a 45-minute to an hour communications webinar as well. So feel free to search that out. Review your P&L. So this is where I am blessed and I'm grateful to ChiroHealthUSA that they made such an easy calculation that can, at the tip of your fingers. Do you know your overhead? Performance reviews. Delegate and elevate. So are you doing performance reviews? Does your staff know that they're operating, that they're performing well? Do they have GWC? Do they get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capability to do it? How are you communicating performance in your practice? So how do we track? So what are the KPIs for this superhero? Overhead. the indirect costs or fixed expense of operating a business that range from rent to administrative costs to marketing to payroll and more. Industry average is 50%. I've seen it as low as 30%. These are some where they run a very small operation where it's the doctor doing it all. Maybe they have one staff member, what have you. I've seen it all the way up to, I recently did a calculation of 90% overhead, which we had a lot of work to do to reduce some of their overhead and make more money. So this is my favorite calculation. You could go to the ChiroHealthUSA website.com/overhead calculation. Now I'm not going to click on it, but it actually walks you through plugging in the proper numbers from your QuickBooks and your stats. So your patient visits, the number of new patients, what have you. So I track my overhead quarterly and yearly. Some people do it monthly because some people have variability there. But I 4 times a year, I review my overhead costs. I review our spending habits and everything. Review your P&L monthly, quarterly, yearly, like I just said. KPI management. So with operations, it seems overwhelming, and you may be overwhelmed, like, how do I do this all myself? As the CEO of your practice, you should have a company scorecard. Everyone has a number. And if you have a director of operations, or if you have a team that you can lean on, all this information gets loaded onto the scorecard with you in practice, with you out. If you go on vacation, you should be able to know what the scorecard is for those 2 weeks, the month. It is work to get here, but it's very doable. And for those of you that are thinking of retiring, but maybe still owning your practice, but how are you going to monitor and manage everything? Reach out to me, because this is huge. There is a way to do it. Testimonials and feedback. So your patient satisfaction is also going to tell you how well your operations are doing. So are you using customer service management tech tools such as ReviewWave? Because ReviewWave will send out right after the first visit, how well did we do? And it takes you right directly to Google and Facebook so that they can put a review on there. It's not a plug, but guys, like, it is a plug. Sorry, I could say it either which way. You have to use tools to maximize your business opportunity, your feedback, your reviews, your satisfaction, and it's marketing in itself. So if you're every year when you set your marketing budget, you should be considering using some kind of technology that will drive testimonials to you and feedback to you. And so we also do patient satisfaction surveys. So on our associates, when we hire new associates, after 90 days, we will do a 5-point review. So how well has Dr. Shane done? Has he done blah, blah, like I have the 5 questions, but what I'm saying is when we have to sit down with our associate after 90 days to talk about his performance, we actually have feedback from our patients too. Patient satisfaction, and performance. Again, are you tracking performance? GWC at the front desk, like I used earlier. If your collections at the front desk are going down, or if you notice that you have a huge cancellation list or rescheduled, that means that front desk is not the person for that job. So how well are you tracking performance? So the 4th and last superhero we have in our practice, this one's often neglected, is traffic and marketing, but it's just as important because like 4 legs on a table, we balance it. We need traffic and marketing. We need to stay relevant in our community. We need to share chiropractic to the world. So who is responsible in your practice to manage traffic and marketing? And often I see it ends up being us, the doctor, the owner. But you could create a team approach with this. Now, some practices that I work with and I've seen, like they hire someone just to do their social media, which is great if they can afford it or if they value that. And then you have your website and you have all this, but what are you doing to keep traffic and marketing at the forefront of the conversation as a performance tool, as a practice tool and resource to make your practice great. So ask yourself, who is the superhero or team member responsible for this? Or is the whole team responsible? I have the whole team. So I have every day of the week assigned to my A team. So it's my director of operations, my office manager, and my 2 associates and myself. So 5 of us have to make posts, social media posts. I have Tuesdays. I'm responsible for Tuesday for content and marketing. So, but get your team involved. This is a great team building activity or a strategy session. So how are you driving traffic to your business? Is it just social media? Are you spending like Facebook ads? Are you doing workshops? Are you doing health fairs? What marketing strategies are you using? So we'll talk about strategies that you have to talk to with your team next. And are you tracking the return on investment on your marketing? So Facebook ads. I saw a company that I was looking at his P&L. He was spending about $50 a month for new patient target marketing. He wasn't getting, it wasn't worth it. He wasn't seeing a huge influx. He wasn't seeing his ideal target market either come in. He was doing one of those $29, I don't know what it was. And I told him, you're not making money on it. Why are you doing it? Spend your money elsewhere. So then we started looking at he does use ReviewWave as well. And whatever money he was spending, I think whatever the cost is, $200 something a month. I said, why don't we just step up a few campaigns? You have your whole database underneath your nose. So we created a few and we reached out to the guys over at Review, created a few campaigns. It blew up. He saw like 3 or 4 new patients a week for the next several weeks just by simple campaigns using customer service management tools. How are you staying relevant in your community? Is your team all on board with this? Have you branded yourself? So categories of traffic and marketing are your referrals. Is your whole team asking referrals? I know business cards are kind of antiquated, but my whole staff wears jackets, like North Face type jackets that have our logo, have their name. So when they go to the bank or when they go to pick up Qdoba, it says Jennifer, Complete Care Chiropractic Clinic. They're marketing for me no matter where they go. And I make business cards for each staff member so that they have them. I work at Complete Care. Here's a business card. So are you training your staff for referrals? Some people still do workshops. I know it's COVID, but do you have a social media present that you're creating opportunity for teaching moments? Social media, your website, internal marketing, external marketing, and branding. Again, this is often the weakest link in the 4 pillars, but it's just as important. And I think it just falls on the back burner. So tying it all together, when we meet monthly and quarterly, we review each one of these pillars equally, and importantly, we create strategies on each one. Like I just talked, in each one, I gave you the categories, I gave you the KPIs, and I gave you the strategies on how to strengthen each pillar. So the last pillar, strategies on how to improve your traffic and marketing, is train your staff, like we talked about. Do you create a 12-month marketing plan? We do it in Q4 with the whole team. So around about October or November, I sit down with the whole team and we create the whole year for next year. What we're doing, cheeseburger day. What are we going to do on cheeseburger day? If that's our pizza day, we'll find a local pizzeria to bring in free pizza. We do cookie drops for our local first line workers. We have a patient that makes cookies, and we ask her once a month to bake cookies, and we take them to essential workers in our community, and we actually take a picture with them, and we do a cookie drop. So what are you doing to get your team involved? So we create a 12-month plan. Social media, you should be using both stories and posts. Website, again, I'm beating this with a review wave, testimonials, review waves, birthdays. We have a campaign under Review Wave. Is one of our patients is the most popular party clown for birthday parties in our community. And so she's so much fun, and we have had her record happy birthday from the team at Complete Care. And so Review Wave to our children on their birthday will send it to their parents, the head of household's link, the phone number on their account, and the child will get a happy birthday, and like she'll make like a little balloon animal. This is for you, and can't wait to see you again. And we get so much feedback from that. Again, we're always talking reactivations in our office. Who fell through the cracks? Events, fairs, lunch and learns. Obviously with COVID, we've kind of been hit hard with that, but what are you strategizing on doing so? And workshops. So how do you track traffic? These are just basic, or you're the superhero with this. What are the KPIs? Referral source reporting, new patients and reactivation. So every month, are you looking at how you're getting and where you're getting new patients from? So what's working for you? Number of social media content. So are you looking at the insights? What are videos working better for you? Are funny things working better for you? Are pictures? Find out the insights. They're called insights on your social media. Look at your return on investment on any marketing events. Number of rings at the front desk. I know that this is, even though I said that it's with patient acquisition, I also think it's traffic. You have someone calling your office. And if you're not letting it go to voicemail, folks, I'm going to tell you, I'm that person that's calling your office. And if I can't get someone live, I'm calling the next person on the list. I'm maybe call me a diva, what have you, but that's who I am. So I recognize that in my practice. They don't get you, they're going to the next on the list. Testimonials and reviews. So set a number, create a KPI for your front desk. Hey folks, I want 5 testimonials this week and or reviews from patients. Be it that they just write it down on a piece of paper and I can make a really nice social media content piece out of it, or be it that you are asking them to go straight to Facebook or Google. But are you setting a number, and are you setting that expectation to your team? I did a fun class on this. So these were my pictures. These are the hats. It was like, what hat are you wearing? So I want to ask you, we often wear many hats in practice as the clinic owner, the CEO, the COO, the CFO. So when are you the doctor? Do you have an office manager or director of operations that can help you with the administrative portion of running this practice, or are you doing it all alone? So with the 4 pillars, I train people. There's a role for everybody. There's KPIs for everybody. The 4 pillars also allow everybody to stay in their lane respectively, including you. If all you care about is practicing and serving your community with chiropractic, then find the right team to serve your practice. And find the right people in each pillar. Find your superheroes. You might only need 1 person depending on the size of your practice. You might need 5. But you can't do it alone. So these pillars are like the legs of the table like I manage. If one is off, the table is unstable. We must have balance. This is where I see too many people say to me, Rose, I'm working more 30 years into practice than I ever have with less revenue, or I don't know what's wrong. What's going on? This is where I also feel that people are getting burned out. They just give up. They're not feeling the love for chiropractic anymore. And it should always be there. You can make it happen. We haven't been given the tools to do so. So you must have a dedicated team of superheroes to create the practice of your dreams. Now, I do want to give ChiroHealthUSA some acknowledgement here. I have been with him for a couple of years now. There is nothing, so the mentorship that you get with our videos, and I'm so grateful that I was asked to be one of these videos, but the videos that you get weekly, monthly from leaders in our community, superstars and rock stars in chiropractic, they're answering your question and they're free. Utilize this as the ideal mentorship. Not only that, their customer service. There is not a time that I haven't picked up the phone and I got Mandy, Christy, or an email and a response back like that. So please, if you have relationships like this, even with your financial advisor, your accountant, don't let those relationships fall through the cracks. These are people here to support your dream. So I invite you all to come and join us and develop your 4 pillars of practice with me. I do in-person workshops for 2 days. You can bring your team with you, and we do an intensive 2-day workshop building the blueprint for your practice. My next one that I do, a 2-day intensive, will be November 6th and 7th in Troy, Michigan. And you can reach out to me to find out more. I haven't set the date on the website yet. Because of COVID, I only take about 10 offices at a time. And then we have a big training facility. And then what we do is we move on. If that is sold out, we'll find another weekend for the other people interested. But this is a time to grow your team together and create a blueprint for success. So I thank you all for tuning in. And Christy, let me know how I can get back on. Hold on, stop sharing here.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome back. So we have one question that says, what are your suggestions on implementing the pillars, especially income, if you have a cash-based business?
So it doesn't matter what kind of practice you are, it's track your income. So my suggestions are know your income first. Know the categories. So if who asked that question? I'd like to, what's his name, her name? Sita. If it's solely chiropractic, it's solely chiropractic. But know how much you make in each category first. But then also know your numbers. So you have to look at your PVA. You have to look at your profit per patient. You got to pull it all together. And if you haven't done that yet, I'm happy to do a financial checkup where people send me their P&Ls, their stats, and I actually use your overhead calculator as a part of it too. And I send you a report back where we can strategize to make you more money or save more money, like retain that and have more profit. Any other questions?
No other questions.
Tammy said there are handouts for the webinar. I can send the workshop to you as a link, Christy, or is this, like I could send the PowerPoint so they have it as notes. I'm here to help anybody, so reach out to me.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being on the webinar today.
It's snowing in Michigan, folks.
It is. Somebody posted that while you were.
Oh, did they? Yes. And we're supposed to be like 60-something degrees by the weekend. It's incredible.
Y'all have some crazy weather.
Yeah, it's insane.
So just wanted to remind y'all, next week, we'll be talking about chiropractic in the military with Baron Hoy and Dr. Tim Novelli, and it is phenomenal. If you don't know, Dr. Novelli is with the Patriot Project that provides chiropractic care to active duty servicemen and veterans. Phenomenal. Their board is made up of more Medal of Honor recipients than any other board in the world.
That's awesome.
It is. They're a phenomenal organization. They're going to be talking about some incredible work that they've been doing to improve access of chiropractic care to our military, and some other things that they've got going on for chiropractors who are serving in the military. So we have some exciting news next week. So yes, when Dr. Rosemary sends me all her slides, I will send those to everybody. So don't y'all have to worry about asking. I got this.
Absolutely. I'll send it your way. And I offer everybody that's watching, you can contact me on Facebook or info. I think she put my email there, info@mindyourbusinesspos.com. I'm happy to set up a 90 minute, I was going to say 90 day, like 90 day fiance, 90-minute consult to address any need that you have just in business. I'm happy to help.
And she's pretty phenomenal. So don't waste this opportunity. Take advantage. I posted them in there again.
I'm not going to sell you anything. If you want to come to my workshops, that's one thing, but I'm just here. I want to make chiropractic better by making everybody better business owners. I love you too. Pixie dust. All right. See you, folks.
Bye.
Take care.